Oh, hi guys. Hello. Um, I tried blowing out my hair before. Hi Frost. Before going on live, and I did not have time to do all of it, so it's half straight and half curled, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it. My OCD-ish personality doesn't like it, but what can I do? I have some news to share that are, on the one hand, good, and on the other hand, not very good. I'm gonna wait for more people to join. Hi, Carolyn. Um, Hi, Juju. Hi, Brexis. Hi, Mark. Hi, John. Hi, Frost. So, first of all, before we get into the news that I need to share, I forgot to turn on VPN, which is what I do to go live on TikTok because my account was registered in the US. And so I teleport myself to any US state. Hi, Niels. And I forgot to do that. And so, TikTok asks you to choose your gift goal for the live, right? And my location was Ukraine, and there were all of these like Russian matryoshkas as gifts, nevalyashkas, and all of these like gift things that are specific to Russia while I'm in Ukraine. And that was such a like disturbing thing to see because I usually like turn on VPN for the US, and I don't really like uh check these things that often, so I had no idea that that was the thing, and it just like gave me such an ick. I don't understand how that's a thing. I'm gonna take screenshots of them later, and maybe I'll make a video about it because it's kind of gross. I set my TikTok to Ukrainian, still got mostly, and FIP in Russian. Yeah, that's a really bad problem. Like, I don't watch TikTok without VPN because it just brings me Russians, and I don't want Russians on my TikTok. Hi, Grumpy. Okay, so I no longer work with Kyiv Post. You remember the podcast that I did an episode of with Kyiv Post a week or two ago with Peter Dickinson? Peter Dickinson is fantastic. I don't know how to explain sort of. I think I'm going to explain more in depth on Patreon why I no longer work there, but publicly I will say this. You know what? I will give you the situation and I won't say my opinion on it. I'll just tell you straight up what happened. Kyiv Post wanted me to write a post on Twitter explaining that I have started a project with them and that I work with them. So I did. And there is a journalist who works for Kyiv Post. His name is J Smart, and I consider him to be a fucking propagandist. And there are articles that Kyiv Post has written, multiples, in its existence that were horrendous. Horrendous in terms of like the takes, the sort of like light core Russophilia, and stuff like that. Those were written quite a while ago, but anyways. So when I posted on Twitter about it, first of all, the day that I walked into the office of Kyiv Post, I told them very openly that there are journalists who work here that I don't want to have anything to do with, that I have a lot against professionally, because I don't consider Jason J. Smart a journalist. He's not. He writes a lot of libel that's not based in facts, and he's an American who does not work for a single American publication because no one would hire him because the publication would get sued for all of his investigation pieces and op-eds because they are baseless and factless libel. Um, he has a very large audience, and he writes very controversial shit for clicks. And so I can imagine why a newspaper would hire him to bring in engagement. That's my opinion. So, anyways, the first day that I walked into Kyiv Post, I said that I would not be talking to him or ever talking favorably about him. And if he would be writing pieces that I feel like I need to debunk, because most of them I do, I will continue doing so. And that I have a very strong moral position, and that I will not be compromising it by any means for any job ever. They said, okay, sure. I was very open about specific things that I really didn't like, specific things that I was not happy with, specific people that I would never be working with. They said, okay. So after the first episode aired, I posted a thing on Twitter saying that the episode aired, and this is kind of like a new podcast that I'm hosting. And a couple of Ukrainians asked me, how do I feel okay working with someone like Jason J. Smart in the same publication? And I said, and my answer was, hey, I'm not part of the newsroom, because I was not. And I was actually told that there is a clear distinction. This is actually a very interesting point, because I was told when I started hosting a podcast there that there needs to be a very clear distinction, that I'm a reporter who works on the podcast, but I'm not part of the newsroom, because I'm not a journalist there. And I was like, okay, that works for me perfectly. And then I responded saying, hey, I do not work with Jason J. Smart. Actually, that was a very big point in my situation to begin with. I'm not part of the newsroom, and I can't respond. I can't like speak for everyone who works there, but I can speak for me, my credibility, and my moral standpoint. And I will never be, writing anything pro-Russian or anything like that. I will never be doing episodes that are in any way pro-Russian, nor will I be changing my narrative by any means, because that's just what it is. The editor-in-chief read that comment and was very upset personally that I said that I was not part of the newsroom, and to him, I should have not responded, and I should have just not said anything about Jason Smart. He was very upset about this comment. I'm not going to get into details of what I think about this whole situation, because I think it's incredibly personal to him, and has nothing to do with hiring decisions, nor did I say or do anything wrong. But anyways, so he was really upset about it. And then it basically became this game, as it seemed to me, of my producer, who's very sweet, was trying to fix the situation. And the CEO also wanted me to stay on board and do the show, but ultimately it's up to the editor-in-chief. And it seemed to me like he wanted a grandiose apology, and he wanted me to run after him and ask him to to take me back and to forgive me and whatever. And I was not going to do that. I did write him an email saying that I would like to meet and talk, and that was as much as I did. He never answered the email, which I think is also incredibly immature and childish of an editor-in-chief of a newspaper. He also has never communicated any of this to me. He has communicated all of this through my producer, who is very sweet to have dealt with this entire thing the entire time. He doesn't know what an SEO is, though he feels like he should be in charge of the video department and the podcasts, but that's okay. That's a whole separate can of worms. And I think that the team, the video audio people there are fantastic. My producer was very sweet. I did really like every single person that I've worked with, but I find it incredibly unprofessional and incredibly ridiculous that this was the situation. When the situation was being fixed, I was asked to maybe meet Jason J. Smart and the editor and sort of see their motivations. And I said that I would meet them, but my opinion wouldn't change, because I can bring countless articles showing straight up lies that are backed by nothing, and straight up fake information, and that I would never not be expressing my opinion about this person and their pathetic excuse for work that's done for clickbait. And that was my position from day one. And today, our work together has ended because, well, I'm not going to run after an editor who feels like it's reasonable to hire someone who writes all of this stuff and then expects someone else who has expressed their position about that a million times to sort of act differently. To me, it was a very immature situation. Again, this wasn't even communicated to me. And there was not a single conversation between me and the editor. It was a conversation done through a third party the entire time. And I didn't so much as get an email response to my communication. So all in all, I don't want to work at a place like that. And I don't want to work with an editor like that. I also believe that this particular person is very, like, I don't know, they're very self-centered, and they believe that everybody has to stand up for their ideas and their opinions just because they're the editor-in-chief. And I will not be doing that. So I will say that to everyone on the video team who was working with me, they were fantastic, and I by no means want to say anything negative about them whatsoever. But I will say that the behavior from a man who's 74 years old and is an editor-in-chief of the second largest news publication in Ukraine to not even so much as communicate the situation with me, but act like a toddler and use mediators for this situation is quite ridiculous. So the point is that I could have tried harder, and I could have probably, stepped over myself and made this happen, because I do believe the show is a good idea, and I did want people to listen to the political and cultural and interesting things about Ukraine. But the thing is, when this happened and the way that it was communicated on his behalf, I didn't even try hard to do anything about it, because I simply realized that these types of situations are going to come up in the future. And I did say that actually to the producer. She's wonderful. I did say that to her. And I said that, I'm not going to change. And the way that I handle things is not going to change, because I have a responsibility in front of the people that I talk to. And while you are not trying to censor me, it is inadvertently censorship, because I always communicate straightforward, and I communicate honestly with my audience the things that are happening and why I do or say certain things. So for me to just ignore a reporting of a reporter because we work in the same publication is not going to happen. And that was something that I was very, 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 very open about from the very beginning, because I stand my ground by saying this man, I wouldn't even say that he's a propagandist. I'm going to say that he is just a person who wants clicks and views and attention and will write anything to generate that. So yeah. So not for me. Moving on to other projects. Have been spending the past week speaking to various different people about different opportunities, because to be fair, this entire thing has been going on for, I want to say, a week and a half. And by end of the first half of the week, I've realized that this is not going anywhere, because, and I'm not going to sit around and wait for someone to to like make up their mind and like play mind games and expect me to like chase after them. If they wanted me to do more episodes, I would have probably done more episodes because I do really believe in the idea of the podcast. But I wasn't going to like get out of my way to make that happen because it was just like, I don't know. The oh my gosh. John says example of a Jason J. Smart clickbait article exclusive. CIA worked with SBU to root out Russian spies. So this is actually not bad. Like this is not even like this is like not even tip of the iceberg. This is not, this is not something that I would like even pose as like anywhere near the worst that he's written. He's written straight up libel where he's accused people of things and you legitimately can't prove any of it and there is no evidence to back it. And the thing is, if he had been writing this type of stuff for an American publication, the publication would have gotten sued out of the wazoo. The only reason he's able to write that is because Ukraine's laws are different. And realistically, no newspapers around the world hire him for that specific reason. But that's not, here's the thing, this is not my, right? Like, it's not my prerogative to decide or to explain why he works where he works or why he is like, but what I will say is that it's a man who writes, like, propaganda aside, it's a man who's not a journalist, who does not adhere to any journalistic standards or ethics, and who writes straight up bullshit and generates clicks on it. And I have him blocked on Twitter for like over a year, and I really don't want, to connect myself in any way, shape, or form to that person. Nor will I say like, oh, because I guess you could say that there are many journalists working in different newspapers that have different opinions, but that's not what I think. That's a politically correct way of saying something that I don't actually mean, because I genuinely don't understand why a Ukrainian publication would hire him, and I've said that openly to Kyiv Post. So that's not like talking behind their back. I've literally asked that question before. I've said, why does he work here? and I've explained my reasoning for it. And I haven't been given a direct answer. So yeah, I do believe that it's because he generates a lot of engagement, so to speak. But anyways, what you're doing where you're independent is working just fine, TBH. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I do want to do more, and I do want to do like bigger and better things. So I'm not going to just go back to simply working with myself. Yes, Veronica, I did. Sorry, I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. I saw it and then I continued talking. So Veronica just sent $20, which brings us to $11,760.96. That is $11,760.96. Thank you, Max. But yeah, so I no longer work there, and I will not be working there. And yeah, I don't know. This entire experience of like the past week and a half just put such a bad like taste in my mouth. And I mean, again, I will point out that like the producer did the best she could, and her communication was great. And it by no means is a criticism. Is criticism of Back to New York? No. This by no means is a criticism of like I didn't move here for Kyiv Post. Like, what the fuck? Absolutely not. I moved here and then Kyiv Post came up. But no, here's the thing. There are plenty of other things that I can be doing, and I'm exploring every single opportunity, because at the end of the day, for me, it's, being able to bring the real news and the real explanations of the political situation in Ukraine to as many people as possible. So I will not stop doing that, and I will be, looking. Well, it's not even looking. So like I've had quite a few conversations with different people about projects, and like I wasn't sitting this week and just like seeing what happens. I was going about my business and doing my thing and communicating with people and planning projects. So, and there are a couple of things I don't like. Me, I don't like saying things before they happen or before they're like set in stone, because then they just don't happen. So I'm not going to like say anything else. But there are a few potential very exciting opportunities that came up while last week. So yeah. Also, someone is basically asking if Scott Ritter is a legit. Scott Ritter is a pedophile. He's like a sex offender. He's also an idiot who just repeats Russian propaganda. So yeah, I would not say that. First of all, Scott Ritter is blocked on my Twitter because I wrote an entire thing debunking everything that he said, sharing facts and backing it up with facts. And then he came back and said something about like, and literally used an ad hominem attack on me as a woman and young. And I responded to him saying that he's a literal convicted sex felon, and that I don't feel like taking insults from a sex offender does anything to my ego as he planned, by calling me like a dumb girl or like whatever. And I and I respond and I respond he responded with something like, it was not true, this offense was like completely fabricated and the judge was like out to get me. I'm like, oh, what about the next one? What about the next one? And he was like, that one was fabricated too. I'm like, there are quite a few different sex offenses against you, and they're mostly with minors. So like, and yeah, basically he was just screaming at me and telling me that I'm using ad hominem to discredit his credibility. Which, no, calling him a convicted sex offender is not ad hominem. That is literally saying, man, you're a convicted sex offender and you're trying to pose as a military expert. That's not ad hominem. That is bringing factual information into the consideration of the shit that you say. And yeah, he was basically saying that all the times that he was convicted as a sex felon, the judge was out to get him. And when I first asked him about his conviction for a sex offense, he acted like there was just one and the judge was out to get him. And then when I came back and said, hey, what about the next one? He said, yeah, the judge was out to get me too. It was all a part of big plan to discredit him. Yeah. He's a convicted sex offender. Also, like a pedophile. He's a pedophile. So yeah, did you still want to ask me anything about Scott Ritter? I don't think so. And the shit that he says about Russia and Ukraine is straight up a Russian propaganda playbook. And the funniest thing is, he says that because there is no other way for this man to make money. No one will fucking hire a convicted sex offender except for the Trump people and the Russian people, which literally helped install the Trump people. So yeah. Garfi M. Yes, that's what a sex offender means. When you are a convicted sex offender, that means that you did commit the crime, a sexual crime. Yes, that's why you are a sex offender. Would you like me to look up what a sex offender means when you're convicted of sexual offenses and read it to you? Yeah. So yes, any other questions about Scott Ritter? Does anyone else have anything else to say? Anything? Oh, hi, Mario. Hi, Lithuania. Karto iki pergales or pergales. Margales, I think. Have you read his affidavit? No, I did not go as far as to reading his entire affidavit, but I did look at snippets of what he was saying, and it was quite freaking ludicrous. Nothing good to add. Yeah, I mean, you can't really add much to that, can you? So yeah. I don't know his location and I don't want to know his location. Also, someone asked for an update on the dog bite, so I can't really show you the dog bite like on camera like that because you're not going to be able to see it because it's like right here. So I can't like, I have to take my pants off and we're not doing that. But I will show you a picture. This is what my dog bite looks like today. It's lovely. It's beautiful. So many different colors, you know. It's like a Renaissance painting. Yeah. It doesn't hurt. That's good, right? Right? So yeah. Never knew corgis were this vicious. Although my dog trainer did say that they're quite vicious. Purple looks good on you. Thanks, Martin. that's 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 so nice. Ouch. Well, at least it's not summer and shorts weather. Yeah, I mean, like, so it's in a spot in which, like, I wouldn't wear something that short anyway. But, you know, yeah, I'm happy that it's not summer and I'm not like sweating and it's not getting bacteria anywhere near it like that because you know sweaty weather is not good for any injuries because yeah, it's just they don't heal nearly as fast as they do in the winter for multiple reasons, mostly sweating and exposed limbs and exposed skin, I guess. It's about to be Ukrainian speedo weather for me. Oh my gosh, Odin, you're supposed to wear that under your clothes, not like just by itself. Corgis are hurting dogs. I'd have to take my pants off, and we're not doing that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because like I can't lift my pant enough to show it to you, and I would have to like take them off, and this is not that type of channel, so we're not doing any of that. Anyways, so today was a decent day. I went to a showroom of a very cool Ukrainian jewelry brand, and I got to meet the creator, like the owner of the brand, and she's very sweet. She's from Luhansk, actually, and we talked a lot about the occupation of Ukraine in 2014. We had like a very brilliant conversation, and we like and probably talked for like I don't know 3 hours. It was really great, and she seems like a phenomenal person. And I really want to continue like being friends with her. She also has a farm, and she goes to farmers markets and all of that stuff. And she's going to tell me where the good stuff is in the summer. And her husband actually works in a lot of really great social projects. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting him and you know, uh, and potentially working together on some projects. So yeah, so that was a very, very good outcome of today. I also slept in quite a bit because, well, you know, I had a stressful day yesterday. Um, I also received finally some decent bedding. You will see it on Instagram because I will post about it. It's Ukrainian brand. They have like boiled cotton bedding, which is apparently a very popular thing in Ukraine. I did not know, or like ringed cotton bedding because it looks kind of ringed. So, or rung cotton, sorry, rung cotton bedding. And because when I first got here, I got really, really cheap bedding, and it's like all synthetic because I just needed some sort of bedding. and it's been awful. Like, one thing that I'm very sensitive to is bedding. I need my bedding to be like decent quality because you kind of sleep in it every day, and this was like synthetic as fuck. It was really bad. But this was super nice. I'll post about it on Instagram. It's a very, very nice. It's good money in OnlyFans. Last month I spent $1,000. Listen, hey, you know, the next step in my career is I'm gonna host podcasts on OnlyFans. I'm kidding. Actually, wait, that could be very profitable, and also like maybe some very unexpected people would listen. I'm absolutely kidding, totally kidding. Hi Chad. Oh my gosh, if you had gotten here a minute earlier, you would have been probably laughing your ass off. Sadly, Mrs. Grumpy is my only subscriber. How are the dogs? The dogs are good. Someone asked, how is the fundraiser doing? Okay, so the fundraiser is at $11,760.96. Maybe we could get it to 12,000 tonight. That would be like $239 and like 4 cents. Hi Chad. Or to $11,900 or $11,800. If you would like to donate, this is a fundraiser for Third Separate Assault Brigade. And it's for 6 DJI Mavic 3 Pro drones. The link to donate is going to be posted in YouTube comments in a second. And if you are on Instagram, then you can go to one sec. You can go to my TikTok profile, not Tim Talk, TikTok. Who's Tim? And you can press on beacons.ai, the link in bio, and then it'll bring you somewhere over here. One sec, my internet is horrible. And if you go here, there is PayPal, Venmo, Revolut, Monobank, everything you can imagine. And you can donate there. And all of your PayPals and Venmos are going to be announced during the live and added to the total. So, pretty please help a girl get some drones. Okay. So, Russia has prepared a plan. All right. Let me read this question again because, I'm sorry, I am going to be condescending here because this is so freaking ridiculous, and I'm not sure if you were actually joking or you're trying to be annoying on purpose. Because I literally just told you that it's a convicted sex offender who knows nothing about the battlefield in Ukraine, yet for some reason tries to pass himself as a serious analyst. This man has never been to Ukraine. Okay, so how about that? Yeah, so what I wanted to ask if you could confirm about Scott Ritter. Sorry, I forgot because I was gobsmacked at the allegations. If he said 400,000 Ukraine soldiers have died, is this true? First of all, Ukraine is capitalized, but thanks. Second of all, the Ukrainian government came out and said that there are 30,000 official deaths. That does not include MIA. So it is likely around 50 to 60,000 deaths. Russia has lost 400,000 soldiers. Just because Scott Ritter took out a number literally out of his anus and decided to present it to the world with no confirmation whatsoever, did he give you any at all evidence or reasons as to why it's 400,000? No, he didn't. First of all, because Russia does meat assaults very often, which means that Russia throws in soldiers without ammunition and without weapons to go on an assault. So Russia loses 10 times the soldiers that Ukraine does in areas like Avdiivka. Ukraine didn't even have that many soldiers. If 400,000 Ukrainian soldiers died, our military would be non-existent. You don't need to ask me these things. You need to apply simple logic and you need to do basic research before you believe shit like that. And also, I would say that if you are literally listening to a convicted fucking sex offender who denies his sex offenses that he has been convicted of, saying the judge was out to get him every single time that he has been convicted for multiple sex offenses, I would say maybe unfollow that person and block them, because they should not have an internet platform. And if they can't so much as to admit to their fucking past and to their actual convictions, they probably are not worth listening to. This is the last time I'm answering anything about Scott Ritter, because, yeah. Oh. Oh, Martin, thank you. So 40 Canadian dollars and 4 cents is how much US dollars? Oh, wait, 26.88 from Joe. 1 second. 26.88, which brings us to $11,787.84. And then there is $40.04 Canadian. How much is that in American dollars? It's in Canadian. Yes, it is. But I need to know how much to add to the total. It's not a screw up. It's just I need to know what that I'm guessing something happened with him, but I'll do playbacks to see you. 29.77. Thank you. Okay, so that puts us at $11,817.61. I have no idea why it's Canadian money, because it's your default currency, and if you send to Ukrainian PayPal, it usually defaults to your currency, which is okay. Thank you very much. I just needed to know what it is in American dollars so I can add it to the total. What about Tucker Carlson? Yeah, we're not talking about deranged people today. Well, we will be talking about deranged people, because obviously we're going to be talking about Russia in a little bit. But yeah. We're not talking about deranged pseudo journalists. Okay, Russia has prepared a plan to destabilize the situation in Moldova, the country's intelligence chief says. In 2023, the Moldovan Security and Intelligence Service intercepted a record level of activity of Russian special services, and this year, new plans of action on the Russian side can be traced. Heroям слава. We have information that there are attempts to disrupt the referendum on European integration, interfere in the presidential elections, and discredit government institutions and politicians who support Moldova's accession to the European Union, said the Intelligence and Security Service Director Alexandru Mustiata. Also, I was talking today with John, actually, and John on YouTube. And I have realized how many of you guys, Americans, Canadians, foreigners in general, have ever heard about Yanukovych's mansion. So you know how all of these like deranged people who say 2014 coup in Ukraine, that type of people, right? And then they back it up by the democratically elected president that has been overturned by armed militia who's far right. We got another donation. We are now at $11,823. So yeah, you know how they're like, he was pro-Russian and then he was overturned and in a violent coup by a bunch of people who did not agree with his pro-Russian stance, even though he has been elected. So he has been elected on a pro-European platform. He gaslit us, lied to us, and then turned around and literally said no to Europe without letting us know. But that's not even the point. So after he had fled the country, he wasn't ousted, he fled. After he fled the country, Ukrainians had found his mansion, okay? So we have a park that's basically kind of like Yellowstone. So as in like it's a natural reserve, it's protected. You can't build private property on it, but screw that. He was the president and the king. He deemed himself king. So he built a mansion there where he had a golden toilet. He had like a dead bald eagles. He had a ship. He had multiple lakes. Basically, after this place had been found out, it has been turned into the Museum of Corruption. I will demonstrate you some of the images from that place. We are at $11,850 after a donation of $27. So I will show it to you. Mazhahiria is a natural reserve, and you are not allowed to build on it. This was the super modest home that he had built, and we've ousted him for corruption, and because, you know, this is the type of shit Putin does. Okay? This is the very modest villa that he had built on the territory of a protected natural reserve. Okay, the very modest mansion. But wait, there is more. This is not even the entire territory of what he has built. I would like you to look at the sheer size of this place. This is the back. This is the back patio, if you will. Can I do a live tour of the place? I mean, I will see if it's still open for public. And if you could do that, but yes, I would like to go see. Actually, I don't know if it's still open to public. But if it is, then yes, I'll go do that. Oh, there was a faux house that he was showing to journalists as if it was his house. So this right here, which was like the guest house, and that's what he said. That's where he said he worked. And this is the main house. Also, Anhale, thank you, plus $30, which brings us to $11,880. Some people have made videos over the past 2 years. Yeah, then I'll try to go there and I'll try to go there and do, if not live tour, then like a video about it. I don't know if I can do a live tour there. But yeah, so here's the thing. This man has stolen so much money that he had that he had that he had built a mansion in a natural reserve, which is illegal. So he had like used his presidential power to do, and there was a gold toilet. Yeah, there was a revolution against him because he was a corrupt piece of shit that deemed himself a king the same way that Putin does and stole money to build this kind of stuff for himself. And then instead of Euro integration, because obviously in the European Union, he would not be allowed to do this type of stuff, nor would he be allowed to be a puppet dictator. He turned around. He turned around and rejected the European deal to join CSTO, which was a treaty with Russia. So next time someone is like, they ousted a democratically elected president that everybody loved because, he wanted to continue keeping close ties with Russia, and the people overturned him with like the far right militia that somehow never came to power, and there was a democratic election, and we then elected a president that also turned out to be a piece of shit. But anyways, we elected him, And so next time someone tells you this type of bullshit, you can just show him the mansion that Yanukovych built and how it's been turned into the museum of corruption after he had fled the country, and the fact that he fled to Russia. But I feel like, very few of these propagandist people actually had seen the fact that this man had a toilet made out of gold and like bold eagles. But yeah, I would suggest that you like look up this place on YouTube because it is ridiculous. Like, it is an actual museum of corruption because half of these rooms are encrusted in gold, and this man had like a zoo with animals that are in the red book. The red book of Ukraine is like extincting pieces that are basically at the threat of extinction. So yeah, he had just put them in a fucking zoo on the territory of his home. There were fountains. Here are this. So this one does not have golden toilets, but these are made out of gold. The hardware is. It's also all so tacky. Oh, and of course, he had this in his house of himself. Can someone block the very obvious troll on my YouTube who's trying to play mind games here? And also, it has literally been confirmed by intelligence services of various different countries that Russia has suffered about 400,000 casualties. Now, can we move on? Thank you very much. You can block the little troll. People who use real gold in any fixture of baths have no class. Yeah, I feel like that's genuinely so tacky, like so incredibly tacky. But also, it's a Russian artist, John, who painted that portrait. Of course, he's a Russian artist. I mean, but also, yeah, this is the tackiest thing Ukraine has ever seen in our country. Yeah, it is very gaudy. Yeah. It's tacky, ugly, and like Grandma Dude is right. It's very not hygienic. Like, metals like that are not very hygienic, especially if you put that on like under your ass every day. Metals really hold on to bacteria, and there needs to be like a special cleaner for that. And I doubt that he was using it. Anyways, not my problem. I would like for him to get all sorts of bacteria from his gold toilet seat. But anyways, yeah. So that was lovely. So anytime again, I just really like yeah, copper. Well, copper is different, but like if you use steel, unless it's like stainless, if it's just steel without any finish, or gold without finish, and if you use a finish on gold, then it kind of is not the same anymore. But anyways, yeah, gold is porous, so copper is antibacterial. Well, yes, antibacterial. Well, yes, kind of. But anyways, we're gonna move on. I would love for him to get whatever rare disease porous gold can bring you, with all the bacteria that accumulates on it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So next time someone says, "Oh my God, they ousted a democratically elected president who did not do anything wrong and he was fine. He was just pro-Russian and they have had this path and friendship with Russia this entire time." Like, no, he lost his first election because Ukraine has had a pro-European course since 1991. Yeah. Yeah. And like, we did not have a pro-Russian course and a good relationship with Russia. Russia was an abuser, and every single president we've elected had ran on a pro-European platform and a platform of like separating from Russia. And so did Yanukovych when he was elected. Uh-huh. Yeah, and the only reason he was elected is because the person who was running against him last minute, not that she's great, she's awful as well, but like last minute, this information was randomly leaked. I don't know by whom, that she was the person responsible for a horrendous deal that we made with Russia for their gas, that basically obliged us to buy a buttload of gas we didn't need for like way above market prices. So like, yeah, next time someone says that, you can tell them that, yeah. And you can show them like a picture of his mansion that he built in a territory of like, think of Yellowstone. Imagine like a US president, like Donald Trump, for instance, because I could see him doing that, building a mansion for himself against the laws on the territory of Yellowstone, or like Central Park. I mean, Mazhagiria is way bigger than Central Park, but like, when I'm saying like it's a protected natural reserve, I mean like, think of Yellowstone, like a park, like a national park. Yeah, Mazhagiria is a national park. So yeah, imagine like a US president just like quietly built a mansion on the territory of a national park. Yeah. With gold encrusted toilets. Seats. Yeah, or in the middle of Grand Canyon, if that wasn't just like the most humid, hot hell of a place in that way to live. But yes. Okay, the night air defense forces destroyed 38 attack UAVs of the enemy, says the Air Force of Ukraine. In total, the Russian occupation forces attacked with 5 S-300 anti-aircraft guided missiles and 42 attack drones. That was last night. We believe that the Ukrainians have a plan for victory on the battlefield. They recently sank another Russian ship in the Black Sea. Therefore, I think they have surprises in store, and we're looking forward to seeing them, stated State Department spokesperson Matt Miller during the briefing. I mean, yes, we do have plans and we have contingency plans, but that also shouldn't mean that like we've got it and everything's okay. Like, it's not okay. We're lacking ammunition. The US is not giving us what it's promised. And obviously we have to build plans based on what we have and based on like the absolute lack of support that we're receiving from the United States. But at the same time, like, this would have been over so much faster, and so many and so much fewer Ukrainian soldiers and civilians would die had we had the proper ammunition. Like, don't get me wrong, we have contingency plans and we have plans on top of plans based on like all different circumstances. But we're not fine. Like Ukrainian soldiers are on the battlefield in horrendous conditions, in terrifying conditions. Hi, Jenna Mom, thank you. And they're doing what they can as best as they can, literally with their bare hands. If we step aside in the face of exponentially growing pressure, in the face of forces that seek to attack and disregard borders, it will serve as a signal for those forces to advance. We must act now and continue to support Ukraine. If Ukraine falls, I would not place big bets on the European Union, remarked French Foreign Minister Stéphane Séjourne in an interview with LCI. What is up with these French people finally stepping up and like saying the things that they need to say, and like, oh, thank you, Ozzy. And like actually talking sense. It's quite mind-blowing, to be honest. But yes, he's right. Séjourne also reiterated Emmanuel Macron's proposal regarding the deployment of troops from NATO countries into Ukraine. Hi, Irina. According to him, the leaders of European countries who participated in the Paris meeting were aware that this issue would be discussed. We discussed actions that could potentially lead to ground operations. However, the framework is very clear, and I want to emphasize once again that this is about achieving victory over Russia without engaging in warfare within Russia, Séjourne concluded. Yeah, and territory of Ukraine is obviously not within Russia, so... Actually, you know what? That's a very clever remark, because all of the European leaders consistently keep saying that they don't want to send troops to Russia or on the territory of Russia. But if we push them to the border, we're right across the border with Russia, then that's not on the territory of Russia. They're on the territory of Ukraine, and Ukraine, in that case, would grant them permission, so they would not be like on someone else's boots on the ground on someone else's territory without permission. But the thing is, Ukraine has never asked for it, and we are still not asking for it. We are asking for fucking weapons. Also for the deliveries of weapons that were promised to us and then never delivered. Ukraine is ready to accept restrictions on its trade with the European Union in order to defuse a sharp political dispute with Poland. At the same time, Kyiv calls on the EU to ban the import of Russian agricultural products, which still come through Belarus and the Baltic states. Also through Poland, there is lots of Russian grain and Russian agricultural products coming through Poland as transit or coming into Poland. And no one's blocking that. It's just Ukrainian products that are a problem, right? The Turkish terminal of Global Terminal Services has declined to import Russian oil amid US sanctions, reports Reuters. So these sanctions are meant to close loophole and to punish countries that are aiding and abetting those sanctions. So that's how these loopholes are going to be closed, right? It's about the countries facilitating the swerving and avoiding of sanctions. Sweden will officially become a member of the North Atlantic Alliance on March 11th. TV4 Nyheterna. According to the publication, the Swedish flag will be raised over the NATO headquarters in Brussels. This will mark the start of the membership process. Congrats to Sweden. Also, just a gentle reminder, the fundraiser is at $11,880. Can we get 11,900? My auctioneer voice. If you would like to donate to the fundraiser, there is a link on YouTube. Let me do this 1 second. Hey, Ozzy, could you copy paste just the link? Oh, here. No. Or Grumpy. Sorry, Grumpy, I didn't see you there. Oh, there we go. So I would like to show that on the screen. And if you would like to donate on TikTok, you can go to my link in bio. That is the beacons.ai/fundraiser. And what is going on? Wait, This is interesting. So, oh, we have detected inactivity. Fantastic. What do you mean? It always does that, and it's never true. Hi, I'm good. So if you would like to donate to the fundraiser, you can do so through my link in bio. Everyone should send 469. Why? But I just got uh it was either Martin, it was you, right? Or was it Travis? I didn't see, but someone just sent like 69 cents or something like that to make the total uneven. Who was that? Oh wait, Frank. Oh my gosh. Frank. Frank just donated $120, and that brought us to and that brought us to 12,000. And Max, I think, donated 69 cents. Max just said, so we are at 12,069 cents. Norway has been super, super supportive, Niels. Like, Norway has been very, 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 very supportive. And good job, Frank. God bless you. Good job, Frank. But also, thank you very much, Frank. But we are at almost 5 drones. No. Yes. Yeah, we're almost at 5 drones. Yeah. Another $500 and it'll be 5 drones. Yeah. The Security Service of Ukraine showed the testing of the first Sea Baby drone from those donated by Ukrainians. The Security Service of Ukraine demonstrated the first maritime drone, which was produced thanks to a large-scale volunteer collection. So, this Sea Baby drone is called Avdiivka. And it was its first test. And here is, I'm going to turn down the volume because if it has like music that's copyrighted, it's going to create problems for me. So I'm going to show you the test without sound. Yes, Avdiivka model. Grumpy is always way ahead of everyone. The boat from Miami Vice? Not quite. It's a drone. It's a Ukrainian-made drone, and it's called a Sea Baby. As a result of the shelling in Odessa, there are casualties, including both dead and wounded, confirmed President Zelensky. It was another shelling of Odessa yesterday. He disclosed that at the time of the strike, he was in the port with the Greek prime minister, emphasizing the indiscriminate nature of the attack. Zelensky expressed his concern over the incident, underscoring the disregard shown by the attackers for civilian lives. The Prime Minister of Greece highlighted the significance of the port and the efforts being made to restore and reinforce the Ukrainian sea route, following a tour with Zelensky and the headquarters. Towards the end of our visit, we were startled by the sound of sirens and explosions, which were frighteningly close to us. We didn't have sufficient time to seek shelter, and it was a very intense experience, remarked the Prime Minister, reflecting on the precarious situation in Odessa. The UK is prepared to loan Ukraine all frozen Russian assets, as the Russian Federation will ultimately be obligated to pay reparations after the conclusion of the war, affirmed the country's Foreign Minister David Cameron. Cameron emphasized that these assets will serve as a guarantee for the payment of reparations and will not tarnish London's reputation. This implies that the UK will provide funds to Ukraine with the expectation that Russia will eventually reimburse them. That's actually a very, 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 very forward move from the UK. And especially because Russia has a reputation of not paying anyone back or not like really holding out to its promises. So the UK loaning the money is 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 quite big. Also today, Zaluzhny, the former commander in chief of the Ukrainian military, Heroyam Slava, has been confirmed to the post of the Ukraine's ambassador to the UK. So Ukraine is really doubling down on strengthening their relationship with the United Kingdom. So we will see how that goes, but that's a very big move. Uh, Together with the Prime Minister of Greece, the President of Ukraine commemorated the people who were killed on March 2nd as a result of the Russian Shahed missile hitting a residential building. Yulia, if you have time, your view, what would have happened if the president of Greece was hit in a strike? Um, I think that NATO would have to intervene if president of Greece was hit in a strike on Ukraine. I think that would be a very, very, very привет. A very, very oh, sorry, I don't respond to Russian. That would be a very see, I don't want to say with NATO, but I feel like that would be the last drop. I think that that would lead to all-out war. Germany joins the Czech initiative to purchase 800,000 shells for Ukraine outside the EU. The press secretary of the government of Germany stated that the country will give a 3-digit million sum for this. The Czech Republic found 800,000 artillery ammunition outside the EU and is ready to hand them over to Ukraine in a matter of days. Only funding is required for this. The funding has been secured and it will last Ukraine about 4 months. Hey, ladies. 1 second. One of my dogs is doing something they're not supposed to because the other dog ran up here, all scared. So I'm curious. Cindy, what have you done? Cindy? Come on. We're going in a timeout. You're going to the bathroom. Goodbye. Have fun. That dog. You're fine. You didn't do anything wrong. We're not going to talk about it. Hi, Debbie. As a result of the Russian attack on Odessa, 5 people were killed, stated Navy Speaker Dmytro Platenchuk in his comments to Ukrainian mass media. President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, condemned the Russian missile attack on Odessa during the visit of Ukrainian President Zelensky and Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis. I strongly condemn Russia's despicable attack on Odessa during the visit of Zelensky and Mitsotakis, emphasized the president of the EC. She emphasized that the Russian Federation will not succeed in intimidating anyone with its terror, neither the 2 leaders on the spot nor the brave people of Ukraine. Yes, we really love Europe strongly condemning people. India has declined to finalize contracts with Rosneft due to sanctions, as reported by Bloomberg. So India is one of the largest buyers of Russian oil, and India had just declined to finalize their contract with Russia because sanctions. So they are working. Rosneft was unsuccessful in securing long-term contracts with major Indian oil refineries for the purchase of 500,000 barrels per day, which is equivalent to a third of India's daily import volume. While Russia remains India's largest oil supplier, there are indications that refiners are increasing their purchases from other producers, including Saudi Arabia. Svetlana Samoylenko, the organizer of the pseudo-elections and the pseudo-referendum in the temporarily occupied territories of the Zaporizhia region, was eliminated in Berdyansk, according to the main intelligence directorate. Since 2022, she had been collaborating with the occupiers and coercing residents of Berdyansk to participate in illegal voting. Samoylenko was also a member of the Election Commission in the upcoming illegal elections of the President of Russia, with the authority to cast a decisive vote. Samoylenko was killed when explosives equivalent to 1.5 kilograms of TNT were detonated under her car. She succumbed to her injuries in the hospital. Russian media outlets reported the incident. Oh, sad. The Biden administration is currently evaluating the potential allocation of $200 million in emergency aid to Ukraine from funds designated for the U.S. military. As reported by Bloomberg, this deliberation underscores the White House's commitment to exploring all avenues to assist Ukraine, particularly amid the delay in Congress regarding the $61 billion aid package. No definitive decisions has been reached at this time. This is kind of like, $200 million, while very nice, is really nothing when it comes to this war. And also it's only going to make like the crazy Republicans that do not understand how budgets work angry, and it is not going to help Ukraine much. Ukraine needs billions, and Ukraine needs that aid package, the military aid package that has been promised to it and has been like delayed and derailed by Republicans many times, the MAGA crazies. We just got another donation of $100, which brings us to $12,100.69. Tensions have surfaced between the US and the EU concerning, thank you, Jeffrey, the US and the EU concerning the handling of frozen Russian assets, according to Politico. While Washington advocates for complete confiscation, France, Germany, and Italy are against it. Sources cited by the publication suggest that G7 countries view extracting profits from Russian assets as the safest option. Yeah, that is going to be nothing. And here's the thing: Russia is going to have to be forced to pay reparations, and because Russia has to pay reparations for all the damages that it's done to Ukraine, and Ukraine does not need percentages from holding Russian assets 5 years from now. Ukraine needs that money now for reconstruction, for budgets, and for weapons. We and Greece have initiated the preparation of a bilateral agreement on security guarantees, focusing on enhancing our cooperation in the field of security, stated President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky. I anticipate that our teams will soon finalize the agreement for signing. We aim to document the current level of cooperation and support achieved this year, as well as outline our long-term security cooperation goals for the next decade. Long-term security collaboration yields the best results, emphasized Zelensky. He continued, additionally, this year, we must intensify our efforts to diminish Russia's capacity to finance aggression. The less financial resources Putin has, the fewer lives can he endanger. Putin seeks neither peace nor diplomacy. Therefore, it's crucial to continue strengthening sanctions against Russia and holding Russian perpetrators accountable for their actions, supporting our defense efforts, curbing the economic capabilities of Russian terrorists, backing the work of the International Criminal Court, and combating Russian disinformation are vital aspects of our strategy. So I also forgot to tell you a story that happened to me recently. So I sometimes take taxis from place to place because sometimes I will leave home early and it's kind of warm and nice and I will wear a trench coat and then it's fucking minus 5 in the evening and I'm dying. And a taxi is like anywhere from $2 to $3 usually, um, to get home. And so I also like taking taxis sometimes because taxi drivers in Kyiv have the best stories. And this last time that I took a cab, the driver was from Mariupol. You know, it was interesting because we started talking about traffic and how shittily people drive in Kyiv. And I was like, oh yeah, and the traffic lights are not in front of you; they're literally above you, so you have to like duck out to see them. And he was like, oh, you've noticed that too. He's like, I also noticed that when I got here, and I was like, oh, where are you from? And he said he was from Mariupol, and he was very very angry at the president. He was very angry at the government. He was very angry, and I understand. I mean, he lost everything, right? And he said that he there were obviously no evacuation orders beforehand, and that everything was speculation, and that he left Mariupol with what he could carry in his car on the first day of the invasion. The second the bombs started landing, he left. And he said that he had cars and properties and a business and houses and all this stuff in Mariupol, and he doesn't have any of it anymore. And now he is. Um, he said, you know, if I only had a warning, I would have like sold stuff ahead of time, and I would have gotten out of there, or I would have taken more stuff with me if only I knew that the war would start. He said I would not be low-lifing here. Um, I mean, I don't agree that driving a cab is low-lifing, but you know, I mean, I understand the sentiment of him just being very upset that he's lost everything that he's ever worked for, and now he's, you know, likely has a job with an income that is very different from what he used to have back home in Mariupol. And it was like, you know, every time I meet people from Mariupol, I just um I just because sort of like, you know, every time you say like, oh, you moved here from where? And someone says Mariupol, the space you're at just fills with silence because you don't know what to say, and they don't know what to say, sort of. And it's just it's like a really really you just don't know what to say. You're like, you know, you kind of, the only thing you can say is just like, I'm happy you got out, you know, I'm happy you're all right. And some people are like, you know, they're building a new life and they're happier, and they're not happier, but they're like, um but they're trying, right? And some people are angry, and I understand, like, and I understand the anger. I mean, I don't understand because I wasn't in this position, and I'm so happy that I never had to be in this position. But it's sort of like I understand their anger. Like I understand that sometimes it's hard to look past the rage, right? He was he was angry. He was really, really angry. I mean, he was a very nice guy, but I could just tell he was so, so, so angry. And, you know, I can't really, I can't really be like, I can't judge that. Thoughts on Ukraine's First Lady declining US invite to State of the Union address. So, according to Washington Post, I believe, she declined the address because she was invited to sit next to Navalny. If that's true, then you go, girl. Stop equating Russians to Ukrainians and put Zelenska on literally on the same level as Navalny. Zelenska is so many more times the woman than Navalny is, and just like putting these two, putting them together is the whole brotherly nations, you are going through the same thing bullshit. And that's not true. We're not going through the same thing. And Navalnaya has literally not expressed her support for Ukraine or asked for donations for Ukraine or like literally said anything inspiring or remotely like nice about Ukraine and helpful to Ukraine. She doesn't give a shit about Ukraine or what her country is doing to Ukraine. So if that's true and she declined because of that, then you go. You go, girl. And if she just couldn't go, then she couldn't go. But we don't know. It's speculation, right? The Swiss parliament has urged the government to intensify its efforts in clearing mines in Ukraine. The proposal put forth by the Social Democratic Party of Switzerland advocates for the Department of Defense to spearhead an international demining initiative in collaboration with organizations operating in conflict zones. Russia can fight on in Ukraine for at least 2 years with the current intensity, Reuters citing Lithuanian intelligence. Yeah, that's if Ukraine does not get what Ukraine needs. And I really, really, really hoped that the world reconsiders and starts actually giving Ukraine what we need, so we could, so we could fight that. Russian aviation hit the private sector of the city of Vovchansk, Kharkiv region with 3 guided bombs. A 40-year-old woman was killed in the rubble and another one was injured. 12 houses were damaged. North Korea has handed over 1.5 million artillery shells to Russia, but half of them are either unusable or need at least a thorough inspection, says The Times. As of today, given the available statistics, Russia has already imported 1.5 million rounds of ammunition from North Korea, but these shells were manufactured in the 70s and 80s. Half of them do not work, and the rest need to be either repaired or tested before use. North Korea is giving away old things. North Korea is increasing domestic production and asking for certain technologies in exchange, particularly missile and submarine technologies, to develop its own defense industry. This proves once again that Russia lacks the production capacity to rapidly and strongly increase missile production. If they didn't, why would they ask North Korea to do so, says Vadim Skibitsky, a representative of Ukrainian main Directorate of Intelligence. This is actually so true. Because like North Korea is just basically coming out on top in this deal with Russia because they're getting rid of old shit stuff, getting money for it, and then asking for nuclear technology in return, which is terrifying. But also, North Korea is playing Russia like a violin. And the State of the Union is in 7 minutes. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it live or if I'm going to watch it tomorrow because it is 3 a.m. We are at $12,100.69. Super nice. We haven't gotten the F-16s yet. If we had, we would have been using them already. Привіт. But yes, so I'm going to go because it is 3 a.m. That's all I have for you for today. And the State of the Union is in now 6 minutes. I'm curious to see what's going to happen and whether Republican MAGA morons are going to be causing any scenes. Which I expect they will be. So, alrighty. Bye, guys. Good night, Chad. Good night, Jeffrey. Thank you. Good night, Diane. Oh, Cat. Plus $10.31, which puts us at $11,111. Wait, no. Yes, $12,111. Okay, bye. Six Semper Fascismus. Also, hi, Mashbuck. So good to see you. you're lurking in the background often now, and I'm like, oh. All right, bye guys.